They're the weirdest family in television history. A wild experiment in TV comedy that began in the 1960s and continues to thrive today as an American institution. A freakish phenomenon that is reborn every year as new audiences discover the Munsters, television's first family of fright. And now, after 25 years of unmarked burial in film vaults across the country, rare, never-before-seen footage has been unearthed and reassembled for the first time in this compilation, a must for any Munster maniac. Old and new fans alike, get ready for some of the wildest Munster rarities ever seen. With Fred Gwynne, Yvonne DiCarlo, Al Lewis, Joan Marshall, Butch Patrick, Beverly Owen, Happy Dermot, Pat Priest, and Debbie Watson in the Munsters Lost Episodes. In 1964, Leave It to Beaver producers Joe Connolly and Bob Mosher decided that America was ready for a new type of situation comedy. They would create a TV family unlike any other and move them into a mansion at 1313 Mockingbird Lane. The family would consist of 5 members. A father who resembles Frankenstein's monster, a mother resembling a vampire version of the Bride of Frankenstein, a grandfather who would be a cross between Dracula and a mad doctor, one child who would be half vampire and half werewolf, and one misplaced niece, Marilyn. The group would be called the Munsters. Connolly and Mosher hired Norm Liebman and Ed Haas to write a pre-production presentation for the Munsters. A mini-pilot was produced at Universal Studios, the home of all the great movie monsters of the 1930s, and they began casting for the wildest family in the history of TV comedy. First, they took a 2-story Victorian house and converted it into the creepy Munster mansion we all know today. Next, they hired Fred Gwynne from Car 54 Where Are You to play Herman Munster, Al Lewis, also from Car 54, to play the decrepit grandpa character, and blonde beauty Beverly Owen to play Cousin Marilyn. Here's a look at the extremely rare first presentation of the Munsters in color. If you think that's an oddity, wait till you see who plays Herman's wife and child. Liebman and Haas took writer's credit in this weird color episode produced by Connolly and directed by Bud Abbott's nephew, Norman Abbott. This short pilot was shown to network executives in the hope that they might pick up the show for the 1964 TV season.
You're home early, dear. Have a nice time?
Yes, I guess so.
Would you like to have a little something to eat?
No, thank you.
I have some warm lady fingers in the oven.
No. I think I'll just go right upstairs and go to bed. Night, everybody. Good night, Uncle Herman.
Good night, Marilyn.
Good night, dear.
When Universal screened the Munsters for network TV affiliates at a convention, the reaction was less than ecstatic.
No, thank you.
The TV buyers felt the show was corny rather than funny, and few offered support for the Munsters as a regular weekly series. However, a rival horror spoof, The Addams Family, was a smashing success with the affiliates, and the Addamses were quickly snatched up by the ABC network. Universal used this as a selling point to unload the Munsters by convincing TV buyers that now was the time to jump on the monster bandwagon. First, Universal retooled the pilot by shooting it in black and white. In a day when most other shows were boasting of their new conversion to color, the Munsters were tailor-made for the film's eerie black and white look. They retained the original cast,
Eddie, would you
added a
come down
wacky
here?
music track,
I want
and
to try
featured
this
little
jacket
Happy
on you.
Durman as Eddie.
Don't talk fresh to your mother, and stop playing with that noose.
On, you can't make me. Leave me alone. Don't touch me. Leave me alone. Don't touch me. Let me go. Don't touch me. You never let me have any fun. I'm going to hold my breath and turn myself back into a toad. You're always picking on me. That's all you ever do is pick on me. You're always picking on me, too. You never talk that way to Marilyn.
Just never you mind about Marilyn. Now, you must remember that she's not as fortunate as the rest of us. Try this jacket on.
I won't. I hate it. It's silly.
All right, then you're going to go right upstairs and get into bed. And don't forget to close the lid.
Ah, spunky kid. I wish Marilyn had some of that spunk.
Well, Beverly Owen had the spunk to stick it out with Gwyn and Lewis, while producers recast the parts of Eddie, now played by an unknown 8-year-old named Butch Patrick, and Herman's wife, now called Lily, portrayed by movie heartthrob Yvonne DiCarlo. TV veterans Gwyn and Lewis were furious over having to co-star with a film actress, but seeing that they'd just been picked up by the CBS network, felt the show must go on.
To start off Thursday, we're going to have you meet a perfectly normal family. Normal, except that everyone but a pretty niece looks like a famous movie monster and doesn't know it. Let's drop in on the Munsters, starring Fred Gwynn, Al Lewis, and Yvonne DiCarlo.
You fell right into my trap.
Eddie, come down here now. Time for bed.
Not now, Mom. I'm having fun.
Eddie, don't talk fresh to your mother. And stop playing that silly game.
It is not a silly game.
Now, you be a good boy. See? Mommy sewed the ear back on your woof-woof.
See, I don't want to go to bed yet. It's still dark out.
Eddie, you will do as you're told.
Oh, you're always picking on me. You never yell at Marilyn that way.
Just you never mind about Marilyn. You must remember she's not as fortunate as the rest of us.
But fortunately for the show, it was a huge success as kids were religiously tuning in all across the country. It seems that the combined instincts of Connolly and Mosher were correct when they decided that America was ready for this unique blend of comedy, farce, and horror. But New York actress Beverly Owen soon realized that her instincts were wrong, and she moved to Hollywood upon accepting the role of Marilyn. She disliked the hectic production schedule, which had the cast cranking out 2 complete episodes per week on the Universal lot. While the rest of the cast was settling into the roles they would eventually immortalize, Beverly Owen became terribly unhappy doing the show. She would later admit that her days were constantly filled bursting into tears and running to the ladies' room, trying to escape a situation she desperately wanted out of. But The Munsters was now a big success, so the studio wasn't about to let go one of its key ingredients. Marilyn was basically the show's straight man, with a lot of curves.
What's the matter? Did you lose your keys?
No, I probably just left them in my other purse.
Oh.
Why are you whispering?
Oh, I don't want to wake your folks.
Oh, don't worry about them. They're always up all night. Someone's coming. Hi, Uncle Herman.
Hello, Marilyn.
I forgot my keys. I'd like you to meet my date. This is Jack. Oh, Uncle Herman. What's the matter with me anyway?
The matter was that Owen had to get out of the Munsters. She admits there were no problems between her and the other cast members, but that she simply wanted nothing more than to leave the show and return to New York. After only 13 episodes, producer Joe Connolly released her from her contract. She returned home to marry and soon began her own family. Also by this time, Fred Gwynne and Al Lewis had changed their minds about working with Yvonne DiCarlo. She had proven to them that she was a consummate professional and easily made the transition from feature films to TV. The only thing that still bothered Gwynne and Lewis now was getting used to the tedious makeup ritual which transformed them into America's most lovable monsters. Gwynne arrived at the set at 6 a.m. every day to begin his 3-hour monster makeover. By the time he stepped into his 10-pound leather boots and foam-padded bodysuit, he had become Herman Munster. Yvonne DiCarlo needed a little less makeup time to become Lily, but still called for over 2 hours of makeover drudgery to complete her transformation. After false fingernails, green grease paint, and a flowing black Indian wig were applied, She donned her captivating pale green gown, cut from satin coffin lining, put on her one-of-a-kind bat pendant necklace, and became Lily Munster. Al Lewis also spent over 2 hours being made up every day. He prided himself on being an all-around showbiz pro, but quickly got fed up with the daily routine, which turned him into a grandfatherly ghoul. Although his latex nose extension was soon dropped from his makeup, Lewis still felt his look was overdone from the beginning. But he was a pro. Butch Patrick was the only cast member to receive additions to his makeup during his stay with the Munsters. A little boy with pointed ears eventually was turned green and given a widow's peak to help transform him into Eddie. As with most kids, Butch enjoyed being made up, but hated the long wait between scenes. With a grade school tutor on the set at all times, being a Munster wasn't always a barrel of laughs. He had to study hard, take lots of tests, and listen to all the adults on the set who constantly protected his rights as a child actor.
Now you run along on up to bed. And don't forget to close the lid.
By the time episode 14 was shot, The Munsters was the biggest hit on television, as far as any American kid was concerned. It was this episode which marked the debut of Beverly Owen's replacement, Pat Priest, who took over the role of Marilyn. Priest, a former beauty queen from Salt Lake City, was thrilled to sign on to finish out the Munsters' first season. The daughter of Ivy Priest, a former U.S. Treasurer, Pat fit right in as the show's new Marilyn. Her voice and mannerisms were so similar to those of Beverly Owens, most viewers didn't even catch the Marilyn Munster switch. She was immediately accepted by the other cast members and quickly joined in on all the publicity which came with being a Munster. Here's an extremely rare promo for a special shot at Marineland.
This you've got to see. The Munsters at Marineland. Yes, that riotous family of goofy ghouls invites you to join them on an unforgettable visit to the famous Marineland of the Pacific. You can help the Munsters pick out a pet for Eddie. Of course, Herman, Grandpa, and Lily insist on something lovable, like a shark, a barracuda, or an octopus. See all the wonders of this fabulous oceanarium, and watch the Munsters have a whale of a good time at Marineland Carnival on most of these CBS television network stations.
The Munsters was now such hot property that merchandising offers came flooding in from all over the world. The Munster coach and Grandpa's Dragula Racer became two of the biggest-selling model kits of all time, while Munster dolls, masks, hand puppets, and T-shirts took second place only to Munster lunchboxes on store shelves. Kids were dying to know what Herman Munster really ate for breakfast every morning.
This is my father. He hangs pictures, helps Grandpa experiment, helps Mommy with the cleaning. Where does he get his go? From me. I lend him my Cheerios. Daddy says they're the greatest thing since bat wings. Mommy says they give him protein and stuff. Give your father some go. And he might play catch with you.
Big G, little O. Go with Cheerios.
Kids were fascinated with the everyday life of their favorite monsters, and no one stirred up more excitement than Grandpa when it came to his wild inventions, crazy spells, and magic potions.
Poison apples, poison bananas, poison fruit salad, poison enchiladas, poison TV dinners, poisons. Now, why are you showing me poisons? Potions, I said. Don't you understand English? Potions! That's more like it. Now, let me see. There it is. Ants, baldness, communists, crabgrass. Crabgrass potion. Oh, that stuff makes a wonderful crabgrass. A love potion, please. Thank you. Love potion recipe. serve 6 to 8 people. I must make a note of that. If thou wouldst inspire devotion, slake thy thirst with this rare potion. To have the lover of thy choosing, shake the bottle well, using. Oh, I shudder to think what might happen if this fell into scrupulous hands.
Believe it or not, Al Lewis is a child psychologist. He believes that children enjoy the Munsters much like they enjoy a roller coaster ride. It's scary, yet fun at the same time. Butch Patrick remembers Lewis as being just like a real grandfather when it came to spending quality time with him on the set. Other kids who were lucky enough to visit with Lewis during filming were often treated to an autograph, maybe even a photograph, and sometimes a personal tour of his laboratory playground located in the dungeon below the Munster Mansion.
I thought he was going to get a fan down there.
Igor, you bad little bat. I told you to wait in the dungeon. Oh, there's just no rest for the wicked. Igor, please, not now. Please, I have no time for you, Igor. Must see a plumber about this. Never worked. Was surplus.
Grandpa's pet, Igor, wasn't the only pet roaming the halls of the Munsters mansion. Undoubtedly, everybody's favorite was the fire-breathing dinosaur that lived under the stairs, Spot. By the second season, adults were tuning in to see what their kids had already discovered. The Munsters was a hip, fresh new comedy which entertained while it put the American family in comedic perspective. Avant-garde as they were, the Munsters became loved by a radically changing 60s society. It was Peyton Place with monster makeup.
Well, I'm sure there's something you could do to make her a little more presentable. Say, listen, why don't you send that man who does your hair?
Oh, he's just a mortician, not a miracle worker.
If you don't do something about it soon, we'll have her on our hands forever.
I have to do something about it. Why always me?
It's enough I have to go out and scare up the rent every day.
You think you're the only one who works hard? How would you like to have to clean 9 rooms in a dungeon every day?
You stop this bickering. There's enough noise in here to wake the living.
The Munsters were now living high in TV's Nielsen ratings, in the middle of their second season. And as far as the public was concerned, Fred Gwynne could do no wrong as everyone's favorite monster dad. Butch Patrick was now used to his on-set school sessions, and everyone else had finally adapted to their makeup and 16-hour shooting schedules. With over 60 episodes now in the can, Munster Mania had peaked all across the country. Adults as well as children were tuning in to see what surprises the Munsters had in store for them every week. The set was barraged with visitors, as the Munsters played host to just as many special guests on camera as they did off-screen. The Munsters became the place to be for Hollywood's character contingency. Like guest director Jerry Paris from The Dick Van Dyke Show, who helmed a few episodes. Paul Lynde, who played family physician Dr. Dudley. John Carradine as Herman's boss, Mr. Gateman. Don Rickles. Gary Owens. Harvey Korman. Richard Deacon. And even Leo DeRocher. They all appeared on the Munsters. But for reasons still unknown to this day, CBS canceled the show with only one more to complete the second season in 1966. The cast and crew were heartbroken upon learning the news, and fans from all over protested the network's decision, but to no avail. The Munsters, it seems, was destined to be gone forever, only to live on in reruns of the 70 episodes completed by Universal.
Fun news flash. The Munsters are in the movies now in Munster Go Home, their first full-length feature in Technicolor. All new, fun for all.
See you at the movies.
Munster Go Home was released the same year the show was canceled on TV, so fans lined up for blocks to get a new look at what their old favorites were up to. But this time around, producers unwisely decided Pat Priest was too old to join the cast, so they brought in 18-year-old Debbie Watson to play Marilyn number 3.
Oh, hi there. I'm Herman Munster. Don't I look frightfully handsome in Technicolor? Allow me to present my wife, Louie.
Pleased to meet you.
And Grandpa,
Hello there. I'm glad I was just hanging around the house.
my handsome son, Eddie, and the unfortunate member of our family, my niece, Marilyn, co-starring Terry Thomas and Hermione Gingold.
Herman Munster inherits a fortune and a castle full of homicidal relatives.
Hey, neat. What kind of secret do you think it could be?
I don't know, but I'll tell you this. Last night, I was looking out my window, and I saw 2 guys carrying coffins into the building.
Oh, quiet, Father. I'm trying to think.
Come on, Babs.
What's the matter?
This is the secret of Munster Hall.
Call the police.
Right.
Get the FBI.
Will do.
Call Scotland Yard.
Right now.
Phone Batman.
I got it.
Car 54, where are you?
See Herman Munster in his Dracula challenge some of the world's fastest cars in history's weirdest race.
Frightfully funny.
After Munster Go Home, the family remained in hiding until 1981, when NBC TV presented The Munsters' Revenge. Joe McDonald joined the cast as Marilyn number 4. Casey Martell stepped in as the new Eddie. Gwynn, DiCarlo, and Lewis admitted that it was just like old times, but the TV movie laid an egg. Just like the animated ABC TV special, The Mini Munsters, which featured no original cast members. Then in 1988, The Munsters Today was syndicated for TV with the unbearable John Schuck as Herman, Howard Morton as Grandpa, Jason Marsden as Eddie, and Hilary Van Dyke, who became the 5th actress to play Marilyn Munster. Though the idea sounded great, The Munsters Today proved to be a far cry from the original 60s black and white classics we've all come to know and love over the years. Today, most of the original cast members look back fondly on their heyday at Mockingbird Lane. Beverly Owen is the mother of 2, living in New York, where she still keeps in touch with Fred Gwynn and Al Lewis. Pat Priest is retired and enjoys traveling to and from her homes in California and Idaho. Butch Patrick lives in Austin, Texas, and still finds time to make personal appearances with former cast members from the original show. Yvonne DiCarlo remains a striking beauty and continues to make occasional TV and movie appearances just for fun. Fred Gwynn, who refuses to talk about the Munsters anymore after being typecast as a monster, is enjoying a comeback of sorts, doing films, theater, and commercial voiceover announcing. Al Lewis, on the other hand, thrives on the attention he still receives for playing TV's scariest grandfather, making personal appearances and hosting his own line of horror and children's videos.
So listen to Grandpa and don't dig your own grave, huh? Go out and buy ABBOTT video. Yeah. If not, one night, it's dark, you're alone, you won't be. I'll be there visiting.
Whether on TV or home video, America will continue to enjoy the antics of the Munsters, America's first family of fright.